So I use a video editing software in Mac called ScreenFlow when I want to do quick edits, nothing that requires a high level of production. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick with the video I just recorded. So I'm going to click on New, and then I'm going to click on New Document, and then I'll do a 720p HD. And the reason for that is because I'm going to play with the different camera angles. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, and I don't want to lose quality, quote unquote. So I'm going to export it at 720p, although technically most people should be working at 1080 HD at least. But since my cameras are all 1080, by down sampling to 720, I get a little bit of play with the zoom, and I'll kind of show you how that works. So I'm going to click on New Document, and then I'm going to click and drag both of those files I had downloaded, one from my camera and one from my phone. So I'll drag these over here, and there's one, and then there's the one from my camera. Now what's tricky about this is that I started hitting record in different timings. Let me zoom out for a second. And then what I'll do is I'm going to put these next to each other. That way we can compare them. So I'll put this one over here and put this one over there. And this one was done with the phone, and one was done with the iPhone, one with my Canon camera. So they're going to have different look, different resolution, different colors, everything, but that's okay. So what I'm looking for, and I'm going to mute the bottom one here for a second. I'm looking for that clap. There you go. So that clap there was done on purpose, so it peaks, and that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a peak in the audio just so I know exactly where I sync them. Now I learned that from Seth David recently, less than a month ago, so that actually is really, really neat. So these are going to probably sync together. Let me zoom in so you can see over here. Okay, so you see the two channels, they're going to be pretty well lined up. So let me zoom this in a little bit. Okay, so I'm basically hitting the plus key, and all I'm going to do is just try to get these two to align. That's really all I'm trying to do, is just getting these two to align as much as possible. Let me see if I do a little bit of cutting. Cut this one over here, delete that. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking to synchronize those claps. Now, are they synchronized? Maybe. That's probably as good as it gets. Let me zoom out, and let me come in here and cut some more. So I hit T to cut it, and then delete it, and then I'll bring these back. Okay, perfect. Bring this all the way back. Now the audio, the video settings from the camera, which were much different than the video settings from the iPhone. So obviously the camera was trying to correct for the overexposure of the sun. We can, in post-production, we can play with it a little bit. Let me see for a second. And I'm going to keep these two sort of picture in picture here for a second, just for editing purposes. I can always resize later. So I'm going to hit play for a second. A successful business. And that one thing is a happy, satisfied customer. Now let's break down what happy, satisfied customer means. Okay. So I think that's fine. I think that's all synced together. Now on this one video here, I can work with the color correction a little bit. There isn't that many settings for it, and that's kind of an issue sometimes, because you want to get those settings right on your camera from the get-go, because all those digital enhancements may mess up with the resolution. Okay, and it'll be really bad to get a real high resolution camera to then screw up the resolution a little bit with the brightness. So I don't want to mess with it too much. I'll lower the saturation a little bit, make it a little bit less bright red, and then see the contrast. Yeah, no, I definitely want to leave the contrast back in 100. Okay, don't want to mess with the contrast. Okay, we'll work with that. So I'm going to zoom this in a little bit so I can reframe. Let me turn off the smaller screen. So I want to reframe and put myself in the middle. And these are the advantages of starting with 1080p and then maybe going down to 720, that I can reframe. See, if I wasn't reframing, then I would be like this, a little bit to the side. But by doing this, I can reframe myself a little bit and zoom in a little bit, and that will put me back in the screen. This is one of the advantages of using a 4K camera instead of a 1080 camera, which is the one that I use. So with a 4K camera, I could have done this in a much higher resolution. So Unfortunately, that's what I have to live with for now, but that gives you an idea of how that works. So let me hit play for a second. I'm gonna lower the volume so it doesn't affect the recording so much, just so we can follow it. Okay, so what I did is I waited for me to finish a sentence. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the top the frame that's on top of it, which is the one that's you're not seeing right now. I'm gonna hit the little I button so you see it. Now what I'm gonna do is my main audio frame is the one in the let me see, it should be this one actually. Let me see. I'm gonna turn off. Okay, let me see play. Yeah, that should be my main audio frame. The bottom one is my main one because it's the audio that came from the camera, and I had done this really fancy rig to make it happen. So I want to just clarify that I'm going to use the audio frame from the bottom, and that's going to be my main roll. Let's call it that. And the one at the top, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it where I don't want to see it. So let me hit play again. Okay, so that's a great cut. So right here, I'm going to come in. I'm going to cut that and take out the top. So I took out the beginning of the top. I'm going to click on the eye to make it visible again. And I'm going to show you how that transition works. I'm going to hit play. There we go. So this one, then I want to now make it bigger. But I want to make it centered at some point. Yeah, there we go. And this one's definitely overexposed compared to the other one. Look at that. So maybe I want to lower, I want to do maybe a little color correction on this one, bring the colors down. So let me bring the brightness down a little bit, maybe a little bit of saturation, make it, try to match it a little bit. No good. Let me see. Let's try doing some contrast. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's not that different. We should probably make this a little bit brighter. And increase saturation a little bit. Maybe we'll lower contrast it. Yeah, let's try that. There you go, perfect. So you notice how, let me hit play. So you notice how it just cuts back and forth. So what I do is I want to look for another cut. So let me play a little bit more. Now let's break down what happy satisfied customer means. Okay, that's a good place to cut. So I'm going to come in here, cut it. I just press T, and I'm going to let me play again to see at what point I'll cut back out. Well, number one, you have to meet or exceed their expectations, which means you have to listen to them, get to know them, understand exactly what it is that they want. Okay, that's a good cut. So when I switch from 1 and 2, I can cut there again and delete that middle part. And kind of give you an idea what transition looks like. So let me hit play. What is that they want. 2, you may have to throw in a little extra. Okay, so when that happened, the cut was a little harsh, and that had to do maybe at the place that I chose to cut. So let me try this again. 2. Okay, so maybe I want to cut closer to the audio. So I'm gonna cut here, and I'm gonna make the transition right when I say 2. So let me hit play. 2, you may have to throw in. I'm not in love with it. Let me try a little bit earlier, and delete that. Let me hit play. 2, you may have to. It's a little bit better. Let me work with some transitions. Maybe some transitions will help. So where's my transitions button here? I don't do a whole lot of transitions, so not an expert at the transitions here. Let me just try the regular fade in. So I'm gonna go right click and click add transition. And I'm gonna bring the transition down probably like half a second. Let's see, hit play. 2, you may have to. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Let's look at the transition options that we have. So let me try the cross blur. That's actually kind of a nice one. 2, you may have to. You can't tell because of the length of it. Let me try one more time. 2, you may have. Make a little shorter. 2, you may have to throw in a little extra. And give too fast. Too fast. Try this here. 2, you may have to. Yeah, not in love with it. Let's try a different one. Let's try maybe cross dissolve. See what that looks like. Hit play. 2, you may have to. I think I like that better. A little extra. And zoom out. Let's look for another transition. And they got unexpectedly that. The other thing is Okay, that's likely to be the best place to cut. So I'm gonna press T and then look for the next
The
step.
other thing is you want to below you. Remember them when the topic is maybe giving them a Christmas present. It's in many industries that I want to definitely remember what is it that they do so I can.
Maybe pause for a second. So normally what you want to do is you want to wait for a gap in the wavelength, which is basically when I enumerated something, or maybe I was gathering my thoughts, or was making the next point. So let me try this.
Whenever I can. So those are
yeah, perfect. That's actually a great place. So right there, when I make a transition to that, so I'm gonna make a cut one more time and make a cut right there. So let's see what this looks like now.
Wow factor. The other thing is you want to have.
See, that's really cool. So I'm gonna do a transition out again. So just make it add an ending transition, and we'll make this one the same transition we were using. Right click on the transition area. Okay, we were doing cross dissolve. Perfect. And hit play.
The other thing.
Yeah, that delayed.
The other thing.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good.
Wow factor. The other thing.
And that was actually too long, so I'm actually gonna cut the pieces of that scene. So let's see what that looks like.
Factor. The other.
Okay. So I'm gonna come in here, and I'm actually gonna cut pieces of the whole scene together. So I'm gonna come here, cut this out completely, and then I'm gonna bring this one in a little tighter, and I'm gonna do a transition within itself. So I'm doing the transition out, and I'm also transitioning on the next scene. Let's see what that looks like.
The other thing is you want to have a loyalty program. Give them a reason to remain.
Okay, I'm gonna zoom it in, make it a little bit closer to see what that looks like.
The other thing is
you
want to have a.
It's a weird head jerk there, but
the other thing
that's fine. We'll leave that there. That's kind of cool. All right, let's go a little bit further.
Reasons or ways to get them to become loyal.
All right, so I think I lost sync somehow. Let's see.
Remember what is it that you never can. So those are reasons
yeah. So I lost sync somehow. So let me undo. That's another really sort of tricky piece of this, which is you can lose sync quite easily. So let's see where we can find the sync again.
It's actually the best recipe.
Okay, so it looks like I'm synced here.
Change and you kind of dread what. So those are reasons.
Okay, no, it didn't lose sync. I think it was just a software, like it was thinking. Let's try this again.
So those are
okay, perfect. We're good. So I'm just gonna just keep cutting as I go. See this big gap that I have here? That was me. I was just kind of thinking for a while. So let me show you how to just do a cut in there.
It's actually the best recipe.
Okay, then I'll cut that completely. I just press T, and then come in. Let me see. What was I talking again? Around here somewhere. See, I was kind of like looking around, thinking about what I was going to say next. All right, let me cut there again. Delete that, and bring this whole shot closer. And since this was a good transition anyway, I'll cut there. So let's see.
Another really important thing you could.
Yeah, so we're gonna make that a little smoother by zooming in and doing just a general transition.
Another really important thing you want to start thinking about is.
So I'm looking for the next transition spot. This is actually a 6-minute video, so it won't be that much. Let me wait until. Let's look for a gap here somewhere. This may be a good one. So I'm looking for audio gaps, by the way, because that's usually when I'm thinking or doing the next point. So I'm hit play.
This professional, and also have.
Yeah, and also it's a great transition spot. Yeah, something like any transition word like that, like and, it's actually great to do transition. So I'll cut that and just get rid of the top piece. And let me do starting transition here, and then let me do ending transition. Let's see what this looks like.
It's actually the best recipe. Another really important thing
there's something wrong here. Let's zoom in here. Let's see what's going on here.
Best recipe.
Yeah, that's way too long of a transition. So let's cut this here. And bring this one a little tighter. Let's see what this will do.
Recipe. Another really important thing you want to start thinking.
I don't love it, but I'll leave it.
Make sure your client is very popular, service professional.
Okay, let's come in closer to here. Let's bring this over. See what this looks like.
And also have all the time in the world for every one of your customers. And also have all the time in the world for every one of your customers is to. And also have all the time in the world for every one of your customers.
Okay, that was better. Okay, let's see what else we have. And again, so we got, this is this one that you're seeing now is the one from my camera, from my Canon, and the one you're seeing now is from my iPhone. But what I can do now is to kind of switch things up a little bit. What I'll do is on this one, I'm going to zoom it in. So I'm going to do like a sort of almost like a second camera angle. So for this one, I'm going to come in and maybe do something like this. But I'm going to do it, let's do it sort of to the side. So it'll feel like a different camera angle if I'm doing it to the side. So let me see. If you play.
Professional. And also have all the time in the world for every one of your.
See how that looks like a different camera angle? So that's actually pretty neat. Let's see. Let's test it out a little further. Let's look for another gap here.
Just charge enough expensive for it through what you do. Just charge enough. Just.
That's a good one. So I'm gonna cut here. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut somewhere else here. Let's try this part.
The past 8 years I've been practicing. Customers I lost in the past 8 years I've been practicing because I have weight.
That's perfect. Okay, so that because is a great transition word as well. So I'll cut there and get rid of this piece. And then for this part, what I'll do is I'll zoom out. And I'm gonna come into this side. Let's do it like this. Again, it'll just feel like a different camera angle. So let's see what that looks like.
Very popular, service professional, and also have all the time in the world. Just charge enough, expensive enough, so that you can't put this in, because I have way too many customers.
See how cool that is? It's like, it just feels like there's a whole bunch of cameras going on, and there was two. There was actually two cameras. So yeah, for sure we'll agree to that. There was two cameras. But it feels like there's maybe 4 cameras going on. Let's try it again here, back here somewhere.
Can meet or exceed those expectations.
So great place to cut. So I'll cut there. Let's look for a different place to cut. Let's see where's a good place to cut somewhere here. Wait until it draws the wavelength. Maybe here somewhere. Let's see.
Drag you down.
Yeah, perfect.
I feel though. So
I'm gonna take that, cut, get rid of just the top piece. And then on this one, let's do something different. Let's zoom out here. And we'll do that look. Okay, we'll do that look. So that looks like a different look altogether. So let's hit play.
To exceed those expectations. Typically, when a service professional has people, those drag you down, and sometimes they take a lot of focusing on quality instead of quantity. It's actually the best recipe. Another really important thing you could.
Yeah, so I did forget to do some transitions here. So yeah, you want to be consistent with the transitions because it drives people crazy when you don't do those transitions correctly. So, but I just won't make the transition very long. We'll make it like half a second. Typically, is the best thing to do. We do a transition here as well. Make that also like half a second. Perfect. And we got transition there, transition there, transition there. Let's transition this one as well. And then transition. Perfect. Okay, there you go. So we got a couple of nice little cut sections. Let's just end it with my camera, not the phone. Remember, the phone is the top.
I don't care whether you're physically there or what businesses end up.
Okay, so on that last take, let me bring this back down a little bit. Zoom that back out. This time I'll do it all the way out, so it just feels like, again, a whole another camera. Okay, so let's play.
way less time than what they want, and they want to.
Perfect. And we'll end it up in the. We'll wait for the last message. I'll use my zoom in camera. So
as a service professional, those you may want to just raise your fee and spend that time with them. So those are a couple of business lessons I can spend that time with them.
Okay, that's it. So that will be the last sort of message that we'll have. So we'll make that the last scene. Cut that. And then that will end up here somewhere. We'll do the ending transition. Be consistent. We said we're going to make this about half a second. Do an ending transition here as well. Hit play.
That time with them. So those are a couple of business lessons I've learned through the years. Hopefully they're helpful for you. Hey guys, so I want to talk to you about.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay. So here we got a hey guys, and notice that the wavelength is really big compared to the other one. So let me also do a starting transition, which will do both for audio and video. So that's pretty good. All right. Let's see what that looks like.
Hey guys, so I want to talk to you about what makes a success.
Okay, that's too long. Make it a little shorter.
Hey guys, so I want to talk to you about what makes a successful business, or what is the number one thing that you need to have, exactly what is unexpected lead. So those are you meet the day that you do the scope of work, or maybe continue.
Okay, so it looks like this piece is really long. So let me look for another place. So we're gonna not done. I'm gonna cut one more time. See, maybe around here.
Customer, but
yeah, it's perfect. But it's a perfect transition work. So cut there, and then let's see what else we got.
They feel like they're hanging in fruit, and those are the only ones you should ask. You should ask some strange questions.
Let's go back here.
Ask a lot of questions.
That's perfect. There's a long gap there. That's perfect for a transition. So cut there, and then I'll cut this one, and then we'll do something different for this one. Let's see what else can we do. Let's do a really deep zoom on this one. May not be the optimal thing, but just to get different camera angles. So let's see.
A happy and satisfied customer. But taking one step beyond.
Okay, so let me do ending transition here and starting transition here. That way we are consistent.
A happy and satisfied customer. But taking one.
Too long of a transition. I like half-second transitions.
A happy and satisfied customer. But taking one step beyond that, what are some of the customer? But taking one step beyond that, what are some of the ways that we can satisfy?
Okay, so something else we can do is we can do some video effects. So let's do the video filters, and I can add a sharpen effect. And again, every editing software is going to be different, but let's say if we have like a sharpen effect here somewhere. Highlight and shadow effect. Let's see if that does anything. And I'll take it back. I'm not doing any video effects. So let me play.
Throughout the starting of your engagement process, ask a lot of questions, even the not so obvious ones that feel like they're hanging.
Okay, I think I'm good with that. So let's do one more thing, which is adding a text. We'll put business success through happy customers. Okay, whatever I want to call it. So we'll put that there. We'll center it. We'll lower the font. That's too small. Make that bold. We'll lower the box around it. Let's put that here on the top somewhere. Let's see what that looks like. And we'll also transition that out. So let's hit play.
Business, or what is the number one thing that you need to have in order to have a successful business? And that one thing is a happy, sad you need to have in order to have
make the font smaller.
A successful business. And
hang on, let me try this again. Let's make the font a little bit bigger. Let's come up here at the top somewhere. Right, let's see what that looks like.
The number one thing that you need to have in order to have a successful business. And that one thing is a happy, satisfied customer. Now,
okay, I don't think I had a transition there, so let's add the transition there. And again, I'm a half a second transition guy. I think I like that. We'll do half a second transition. Okay, and it looks like everything has a transition. And really, that's it. You see the last scene has a transition. Yes, it does. The last scene. So at this point, I just go to File, Export, and I select Web High, and I select 100%. Again, this is going to be 720p, not 1080. And the reason for that is because I wanted to do some of the zoom ins and stuff without losing much quality. And then I click on Export, and then I'm ready to upload into YouTube. And one last thing, anytime you're dealing with a recording that has a lot of background noise, like for example, video that I made outside with all the air conditioning and the neighbors mowing the lawn and all that stuff, some of the things you can do is just kind of play with the audio a little bit. So for example, in ScreenFlow, once you select the audio, there's a little audio icon, and you can actually add background noise removal and a little bit of effect. So I usually add this thing called Small Room EQ, which gives it a little bit of that sound studio echoey kind of feel. And removing background noise, remove some of the low bands and some of that, that hissing and background noise that usually on these videos. So you can test them out with different levels and kind of see how it goes, but you definitely want to do that. But the ultimate trick to reducing background noise or hiding it is to add background music. So for example, I downloaded these 3 songs from a website, and usually you just go to Google and type royalty free music, and those are typically the best places to go find music to use, because you have to be careful. You can't use copyrighted music. In this case, I have a couple that I like, and I will definitely talk about background music and some of the resources for B-roll and that sort of thing in a class that I'll be running on December 1st. Just go to videomarketingforaccountants.com, and it's a class where it's a paid class where I'll talk about all the resources that I use for video editing and that sort of thing. So you definitely want to check that out, videomarketingforaccountants.com. So let me just resume and tell you about this background music. So see, these songs are pretty much peaking. If you look at the audio levels, these are peaking. So what I'll do is I'll lower the volume of these to like 1%. And kind of see how it goes. So let me hit play. And let's see. Let's try that again. Just make sure that we enable the audio channels. See what that looks like combined. We lower the volume a little bit.
Make your videos accessible. Make your content.
Okay, let me increase that to 2%. Hit play again.
Easy to read. Give them a reason to be proud of their service professional and say, hey, you should go to my accountant's, assuming this is for an accountant, but any service professional, really.
2% was too much. Actually, I didn't like that song. Let me try just this one called Happiness. Let me try that.
You should go to my accountant's website and see, he's got tons of resources there, and if you hire him,
Too loud. Let me bring that one back down to 1%, hit play.
You will definitely be happy. So those are the 3 reasons why you want to have a happy and satisfied customer. But taking one step beyond that, what are some of the ways?
Okay, I don't like that song either. Let's try this one. I'll lower that to 1%. Hit play.
My accountant's website.
Okay, that didn't take. Hang on a second. 1%. Hit play.
And see, he's got tons of resources there, and if you hire him, you will definitely be happy. So those are the 3 reasons why you want.
Hit play. Stop for a second. The audio is going crazy here. Let me just enable one channel. Make sure these channels are all disabled. I don't want to hear any echo. Perfect. Let's try it again.
I want to have a happy and satisfied customer. But taking one step beyond that, what are some of the ways that we can satisfy the customer or meet?
Okay, I think I like that one. So let me just copy and paste this. Put them all next to each other. Copy and paste it again. That way it's just sort of looping. And let me just cut it here at the end. Make sure that I'm cutting it at the same time. Cut that. Transition out. Then I'll start transition a little long, see what that looks like, that sounds like. Let's see.
Hopefully they're helpful for you. Hey guys, so I want to talk to you about...
Okay, let me make that. The song ending transition is typically the hardest thing just because it doesn't end in the perfect note. So let me try this again.
Hopefully they're helpful for you.
Okay.
Hey guys.
That's good enough. So that's just a little trick I wanted to show you about using background music. Now let me also figure out if at the beginning needs a transition. Let me hit play at the beginning.
Hey guys, so I want to talk to you about what makes a successful business.
Yeah, let me do a little bit of starting transition, but I'll start this one early. See, and let me start the hey guys also with a transition. Okay, let me hit play again.
Hey guys, so I want to talk to you about what makes a successful business, or what is... Hey guys, so I want to talk to you about what makes a...
Okay, let me start the music a little earlier, and then start the hey guys a little longer. Let's try this.
Hey guys, so I want to talk to you about what makes a successful business. So, when was the last time you took a vacation? Or change questions like, hey, what's the last time you took a vacation?
Okay, let's see. Make sure all the channels are off, just my main channels on. Hit play.
Strange questions like, hey, what's the last time you took a vacation? Or
something's wrong. Hang on. Let's see. Let's see. This audio channel should be at. It's all good. Let me see.
Something that they wanted but didn't ask for, and they got unexpectedly. That definitely helps with the wow factor.
Okay, so you gotta be careful. Make sure you don't have additional channels turned on. So. Okay, let's see. Make sure my main channel is on. Okay, that should be on. Let me hit save real quick. Sometimes it freaks out like that. Let me close it. Open it again. Sometimes it's got way too many channels. It just goes nuts with the audio. So, okay, that's good now. Hit play.
Belongs to them, and you send them an email saying, "Hey, I made."
Okay, so what I want to see is that part where I'm transitioning the song. So let's see that.
Like they're hanging fruit, and those are the only ones you should ask. You should ask some strange questions like, "Hey, what's the last time you took a vacation?" Or, what's your...
Right. So I had to make that a little bit tighter, just because there was a long sort of pause at the end. So let me see, make that also. So I may have to sort of join them together. Let's try that.
And they want to pay for that time. They want to pay more for your services.
Good. Yeah, I don't want to have too much gaps without music, just because now the audience is sort of used to listening to that background song. So that's it. Again, if you want to learn more about video editing, posting into YouTube, the type of tips and tricks that makes a video successful, just go to videomarketingforaccountants.com. Sign up for the class. It's $250. I'm doing it with my friend Seth David, and hopefully we can add some value by showing you these things and other things as well. Thanks. On the last note, check in the description below. I will put a link to the final version of that video. So it will be actually really neat for you to see, if you actually watch this whole 30-minute video, for you to see the entire editing process, and then also for you to see the actual final production. That way you can see if you can get something tangible out of it. So definitely check on the description below, and you're going to see the final video. And by the way, if you're an accounting professional and you want to get into video, again, I know I'm plugging it pretty hard, but it is a class I'm very proud about. It's a class we're running on December 1st, videomarketingforaccountants.com. I know I'm plugging it hard, man, but I do want to get students, and I do want to help people create their own videos. Thanks.